Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Just Another Esports podcast. Once again, you're joined by me, your host, Nicholas Shady Bacon, and my co host, Mr. Kevin Hewbris. Hopefully, this time there is no snowstorm to take out my co host. He is no longer buried under a pile of frozen water. So that's very good. And no longer is Texas. No longer is everyone in Texas just having an incredible panic attack and actually some destructive damage to their homes. Hopefully, they all get to recover from that. But yeah, quite an interesting previous podcast. And I think we had a very interesting and jam packed week of matches since everything got consolidated into a super week. I went over my predictions for what would have been the second week of stage one. And so we did. You don't have to believe us, but I'll tell you, we did our predictions for what would have been the third week of stage one that was put into that super week. So that we did that before the matches happened. So we're going to be going into like those predictions as well. I did get Kevin's predictions, so we can talk about those. This time around, it was a much more balanced battle of the minds here in predicting kind of the results of the kind of 2 weeks of matches that were consolidated into 1 week, and then
The Super
obviously,
Week.
yeah, the super week.
The
Then
Super Week.
obviously we'll give our predictions for the stage one major.
Uh, real,
But I think
real
oh, you
quick,
had
Nick.
some.
So I remember in a previous podcast, and I don't know if anybody else is listening, if they remember, but I remember in a previous podcast, you had stated your like ideal schedule for watching COD, and this Super Week was actually really close to what you originally had in mind, if not exactly what you had in mind. So I really wanted to ask what you thought of it now that you have seen what you thought your ideal schedule was.
Yeah, no, I think talking back to it, I think I said my ideal schedule was something like Thursday through Sunday. Maybe it was a bit more. Maybe it was a bit more spread out than that. I can't remember exactly. I do think there needs to be like at least a 1 day or 2 day break in during the week. That I mean, there's just so much COD now during kind of the season that I think having uh, COD like Monday through. Well, I guess it wasn't Monday through, or was it Monday
It was
through?
Monday. It,
It was
it
yeah,
was
it was
literally
Monday
a
through
week of
Sunday.
COD.
There was there was almost like too much. Not in like the pro sense, but I mean, if you want to pay attention to challengers, you don't really have the opportunity to do so
Absolutely
when
not.
there's all those matches going on. And then also, I think I don't even really care too much about challengers. I feel I care more about collegiate COD.
Yeah, college
Like
COD.
that
College COD
we
actually. They've been streaming on Mondays and Tuesdays.
yeah.
And I mean it definitely impacted viewership. I mean, now that with the Super Week over, last night we had what 19,000 viewers.
20,000.
Oh yeah, basically 20,000 viewers, which is unbelievable at this point. Um, but the other thing that goes with that is the week before during the Super Week, whenever CDL was taking up that broadcast time, I mean we were seeing far less views. So it does impact us or impacts college COD on a scale. So I don't want to speak on behalf of college COD, but I mean I am kind of invested at this point.
Yeah. No, I think probably Super Week is a bit too much.
Yeah,
I
I agree. I mean, circumstances, yeah, I'd rather have the COD than not have it, but
yeah.
I agree. Too much.
Yeah, I think it can definitely be a little bit better spread out because I mean, even though it's more spread out and you're not spending so much time maybe on 1 day, it does still consume a certain amount of time. And with kind of how the season is, I feel that they definitely need to extend the season out and not by doing more matches in a sense. I mean, obviously, I think the players would like having more matches to play throughout the entirety of the season, but I think even maybe giving it a little bit more space to kind of so we don't have. I mean, the game comes out in November, and we just started kind of the league up in like what February, pretty much. So definitely think things need to start a lot earlier, probably in December, and then have the season go all the way up until like September potentially. Then you have October off, um, or maybe September and October you have off. I don't know. You'd have to kind of talk with the pros and see what they kind of want, since realistically I would imagine they want a bit of an off season. I don't know how much of an off season they want, uh since I mean they're playing pretty much every single day, Monday through Sunday, when the regular season is going on. And so I think potentially if like they don't have a nice off season, there is that risk of burnout. But maybe you
True.
just have more small breaks in the middle of the season, maybe obviously like between majors, or maybe there's a bit more separation between the matches of the week, and whatnot. But I liked having something to watch every single day.
Yeah.
To me as a viewer, it was really nice. And I think that's something that I wanted to bring up, because I know like Formal and some of the other pros, they hated the Super Week. They said it was the stupidest thing. I don't know if their exact words were it was the stupidest thing, but they were not a big fan of it. And I think that kind of goes to show like they're extremely out of touch with kind of the spectator's perspective of Call of Duty. Like they're
Yeah.
only thinking about kind of what they want, and what they want is just Friday, Saturday, Sunday have a bajillion matches to play. But like that works when you have these large tournaments where there's only like 8 of them a year or something like that, where it's like, okay, there's enough of a separation where like I'm willing to invest that time as a spectator to watch it, or I'm willing to like go to that event as kind of like a fun day off kind of
Well,
adventure or something like that. But
here's my question to you, then, Nick. We do have sports that are every single day or close to every single day, or they play often enough that it feels like it's every single day, in the forms of the MLB and the NBA, into the NHL to an extent. I mean, those guys, they play
yeah,
virtually every day. Um, I think that you give the guys a better rotation. But for what I see right now, I mean, this is a good system.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
as
I would agree. And
uh,
I think that's a really good point to bring up, is that like if you're looking at uh, a basketball team, they're playing what they're
like
playing
twice a week, 3 times a week.
twice a week, 3 times a week, yeah. And so yeah, I find the pros reasoning with it to be a little um,
Yeah, exactly. Like
absurd, when it's something that's been done kind of
it
repetitively
the the
in
the
traditional sports.
the problem with it is there's only 12 teams. So the tempo is a lot higher pace. I mean, in
Yeah,
basketball you have 32 teams.
yeah,
In baseball you have like I think 30. It's upwards of 30 teams. I'm sorry that I don't know how many MLB teams there are right now. I feel bad. Um, so whenever the expansion hits next year, hopefully, from what I understand, um, when the expansion hits and people are starting to really buy into this, um, this schedule might even be more feasible, and it might even be necessary depending on how many teams they add. You
I
know,
think it would definitely be necessary once they get kind of upwards to the point of 16 teams, if they want to kind of do this um, pool play into major style, which I think works pretty darn well.
I love this setup. This is a great setup. This feels legitimate. Um, I think that it might be a little bit complicated for the average viewer as to how they did it, but I think that's where esports have kind of separated themselves traditionally, with kind of the etiquette and the rules of competition, and trying to make things fair in ways that most people don't really think about, like for example, online and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I don't think it's too kind of difficult to follow. It's kind of like your regular season matches are essentially your pool play matches, which result in your seeding for the major, and you have certain number of majors throughout the year, and based on your placements for that results in the seeding for the championship at the end of the year. I don't know, maybe I'm too invested in esports to like all the complicated tournament formats that there are that go around and all of kind of
Yeah, that's what
the
I'm
leagues.
saying.
It seems simple to me, but maybe not to the average viewer.
Yeah, I mean, like for most sports, um, traditionally you have the one big tournament, the yearly annual tournament, like the Super Bowl, for example, or the NBA Finals, or the World Series, or the Stanley Cup. Those are
Yeah,
you play your season out, and at the end of the season, we have big playoffs, and the winner of that is determined to be the champ. They play a lot more regular season games, and their playoff structures vary, but for the most part, I mean, it's that same structure. And
yeah.
I think if COD would, I think the majors are fine. I think that that kind of ties in between, hey, this is how we used to do things. We'd all meet up for a big tournament at a LAN, and um, we'd all meet up and then we'd kick the shit out of each other on LAN, and then we all the shit talking starts because that's how we used to do things. But it also brings us into the whole, well, we're online, and we can spread the love out and get the entertainment value we want out a little bit better.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting topic because I mean, you do have those traditional sports like basketball, baseball, football, where you just have the regular season and the big championship at the end. And then you also have sports such as tennis and golf, where it's more kind of cup based, where you have a bunch of different large competitions throughout the year, and based on your placement at those, you get invited to other ones. And your seating is kind of based on your cumulative placements
Right.
throughout the entire year, and that's kind of more so what esports has been
Right.
before kind of the league structure, at least for COD. And so they're at kind of a turning point now where they either have to go with what I think is the more successful model in
I think
terms
it's
of
the
like
more
the NBA.
affordable model at the end of the day. And hear me out. Um, Eventually, one of these days, they keep telling us we're gonna be able to have lands again. One of these days. I don't know when.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to predict it. One of these days, things will just be better, and we can go back to land. And with the current structure, where they have the major, you can go to lands. Lands are going to be insanely expensive to operate post COVID. Like even after like it's all the insanity, like I'm sure that like limited capacity will be a thing from here on out. Um, and there's just going to be a bunch of restrictions and stuff like that. So I think what they've set themselves up to do is they decided, hey, instead of having lands and we kind of space out the entertainment in that regard, we have periods where the teams play online. It sort of matters, but I mean it really only matters for whenever for placements in LAN. If you're the best LAN team, you might be the 12th place team online, but on LAN, you might just come smoke people. You know, and I think that if they would go in that direction, whenever this happens, then this format would make a ton of sense, and it would give them the most broadcasting and ad space they can possibly sell. So if I
Yeah, I
was,
think that's probably another idea thing that the Call of Duty League is facing right now is they really do not have a lot of sponsors,
yeah,
and pretty much all the ads they run are Blizzard ads or COD Mobile ads. They really do not have any non-endemic sponsors. Like who are their sponsors?
uh, Mountain
It's
Dew Game Fuel,
T-Mobile, Mountain Dew Game
T-Mobile,
Fuel.
Air Force,
Yeah. So all of
Army.
those, none of those are non-endemic sponsors. So, and I mean, you look at something like the LEC, the European League of Legends Championship series, or
Yeah,
their league. They have like what's the car company? They have Kia, they have Kit Kat, they have a bunch of different things. They have like a song of like their broadcast is phenomenal to watch, even though they have like some what people would say cringe sketches. Uh, Everything from like the player interviews to kind of how they run with the commercials to kind of the introductions of teams and stuff. It's all very well. It never feels repetitive, and everything with the Call of Duty League in terms of their broadcast feels excruciatingly repetitive. Like the team intros are cool the first time around outside of the Atlanta phase. That one like sucked, even though you got the Woods actor or voice actor or whatever. Like that was terrible. I think probably Toronto's player intro is the best.
Yeah.
But after kind of like the first couple of times of watching it, it's going to get repetitive.
Right.
Their ads are over the top repetitive.
True.
They only have 2 soundtracks for their matches, and they're not the best. Like they really need to take a hard look at their broadcast and fix it, because throughout the season it's just going to become so boring to watch if you're not in a match. And that's never something you want.
They need a complete broadcast overhaul.
Yeah, the virtual studio's cool.
I
I actually think it's pretty cool. Like the tech for that is really neat.
the I do agree that the virtual studio is a good idea in concept, but it can be executed better.
Yeah.
I am sure that I could execute it in a better way. Second, if you really wanted to do this right, you would move all these people together and just run it as a virtual broadcast anyway. That's how normal, like that's how normal syndicates or leagues run. Like in ESPN, those guys aren't wherever you're watching the game. They're at a studio, and they just go to work, and they just watch the game from TV just like us, and then they are paid to talk about it. So I don't understand why we can't just move all the casters in one location. You know, um, there's a lot of things that are just coming up, throwing red flags as far as like what the CDL could be. But funnily enough, when we talk about the shortcomings of the CDL, it is better than what it used to be. It's
Yeah,
not
there's
like
definitely been improvements from
it's
year 1 to year 2.
it's not it's not the end of the world. It's just it's not growing as fast as we'd like it to.
Yeah, I
So
think the reason why we're so critical of it is because it still hasn't hit the level that the CWL broadcasts were at.
true.
I
Well,
think that's why we're looking at it in such a negative light. It's
that's
because
that's the difference. Is I mean, CDO or CWL broadcast. Who was that? That was what MLG or
yep.
AKA Esports Engine. Um, Esports Engine is not affiliated with the CDL. The Call of Duty said we're just going to take care of the broadcast from here, and they cut ties. And I
I
don't.
think this is like something that's been true for like all Blizzard broadcasts or like all Activision. It's like I imagine they have extremely talented staff, but I mean Overwatch League, I don't feel like their broadcasts were ever that engaging, and I think that's kind of transitioned over into the COD League. I think like, what's the other Blizzard game that has like esports? It's like Hearthstone or something, and I I can find like that enjoyable to watch, but I mean that's simply because of like the vibe of it. You kind of just want to get a hot cup of cocoa or something and stand by a fire and watch it. Like that's kind of the vibe of Hearthstone esports. But
Yeah,
you
that's
can't
true.
you can't do that kind of same thing for stuff that's supposed to be a lot more hype, such as Call of Duty or Overwatch.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, like, at the same time, you, they, I will say that they're doing an okay job, but they aren't even appealing to that part of the content either. I mean, like, I just think that it's this whole COVID thing has put this community in such a bind and in such a wreck that them being able to replicate the hype and the feel of LAN is, I mean, it's next to impossible. So I mean, we're asking a very tall order of them to try and do what the CWL did, just because. I mean, yes, the companies do matter, but also like they're doing the best they can with in the situation. I mean, I'm just glad that it didn't go under. A lot of businesses did.
Yeah, that's definitely something that has been incredibly fortunate. But I think it's time to probably move into the matches that occurred during the Super Week. Both you and I had stellar weeks or a stellar week in terms of our predictions. We both rounded out at 80%. So that's pretty darn good. We only got, I think, 4 predictions wrong over the course of the Super Week. And so we'll start it off with what we'll go
I guess
through.
we're gonna have to like start like quick firing
Yep.
these.
Yeah, we'll quick fire them. I think we'll kind of just
Like
go very
some,
rapidly.
yeah, some very
through
off-color
our
commentary on
through
some,
what
but
through what would have been our week 2 stage 1 predictions. Anything that we kind of we'll discuss I think the matches by team based on where I see them. So
right.
Florida, I don't know what order they played them as, but we're just going to go down the list. So
LAG,
Florida,
yeah.
they played LAG. They won that 3-1. They
No
played
surprises.
Paris. They lost that 3-0. And they played Chicago, where they lost that 3-1.
Yep.
And they
Atlanta.
played Atlanta, where they also lost that 3-1. So out of those, the only one, this was one that we got wrong, both of us. We thought Florida was going to beat Paris. They lost that 3-0. I said they were going to take it a 3-2. You said they were going to take it a 3-1. What right now do you think is the issue with this Florida Mutineers lineup? Because I know I messaged you, I think it was after the Paris match. I'm like, what the hell is going on with this roster? Like, I want to say the problem is Slack, but a lot of the players on the team were just making stupid challenges.
I think that's what it really comes down to, is that, I mean, you can't chow the same way you could, a month ago. Not even, it's just the game keeps evolving and changing with these minute little changes. So, they made a change to, like, for example, they made a change to how jump shotting works. And it was like something really, really simple. And all of a sudden, you don't see people jump shotting as much anymore. Or if you jump shot, you know that you like hit your first bullet. If you hit your first bullet, you're gonna get the kill, and then you can jump shot. But like those little changes means that like you're trying to learn how the meta is gonna shift because of that. You know, if I can't push as aggressively because it's harder to chow, then what are the new lanes? What are the new options? And sometimes you can just get caught with your pants down. So, and I think that's just what happened with Florida. I mean, don't get me wrong. Aside from the Paris thing, I don't know what happened there. Paris woke up and ate their Wheaties. Aside from the Paris thing, they pulled around against Atlanta and Optic. Both of those teams, in my mind, are on top of COD. So am I like upset about Florida's record right now? I mean, they're 1-3. It's not pretty, but same time, it is what it is. So
yeah, I guess one question to bring up is, do you think Havoc would be a better fit in this roster than Slack?
honestly,
I think when we originally saw this roster change come in, Havoc or Neptune for Havoc, I said Slack probably would be a better fit in the end. I can't remember the reasons I gave.
here's
I think
here's a
there was
crazy
something
thing.
more like a more experienced, or yeah, I can't remember, but I'll let you kind of dive into what you're thinking of.
All right, so hear me out. This is kind of crazy, and it's in light of recent news. Drop Slack, right? Slack is the weaker. He's the weakest of the players, right? I mean, you don't drop Skies. You can't. You absolutely cannot drop Caesar. Like, that's just not gonna happen. You cannot drop Caesar Skies. Plain and simple. He's just that good on the map. He is one of the best ARs in the game, if not the best AR in the game. You can't drop
He
him.
hasn't been performing too well
Well,
as of recently.
I will
But
say
yeah, his
that
potential is.
in 4v4, you live and die as a team. you live and die as a team. You cannot make hero plays. I mean, it is a very team oriented game at this point. Um, so that being said, yeah, he played off. It is what it is. Still can't drop him. You know he works. Big Wake, honestly, he's the one who's looking the most competitive out of all of them. Um, you know, he came up from challengers last year, and he made the most impact from out of any rookie I've ever seen in just a few short games. Like, when's the last time you saw something like that, Nick? I mean,
Probably Sim.
Price Simp in
Yeah.
BO4.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Uh, I mean, Shotzi did well last year, and he deserved Rookie of the Year. But um, Awakening played really, really well last year, and he's still absolutely frying this year. Formal put it best. He said, "I still think the kid's cheating." Like, I mean, he's just that good.
Yeah.
So, can't cut Wake. Neptune, I like Neptune. I think that Neptune works. Neptune knows the game better than most of these guys out here because he feels like it's his opportunity. He's got to make it. He's got to make it work. He did the grind from the challengers, and he's a fantastic player. Here's the next guy. So recently, did we talk about this with I think it was before we started recording, but recently, Wester and Zaptius parted ways with his teammates. Um, Zaptius has already been in the pro league. He was in CWL. Yep, since franchising, he has not played professional COD, um, or what we define as professional COD. But Zaptius would fit their roles perfectly. Like he would be their engineer sub, um, which is a pivotal role in this game. Like Dylan Envoy, if he's going to show us anything, has shown us that being the engineer SMG player who's just completely objective oriented and objective focused is vital. It is lifeblood to this game. Um, Zaptius would fill that role. That would put Wake and Caesar Skies on ARs where they need to be, so that way they can make the most
Is Zap an
influence.
SMG?
Zab is an SMG, 100p.
Okay.
And then Neptune, he can run around, do his thing on the map. And I really do think that roster right there could be incredibly deadly. Um, and I would love to see it. I think you need to pull up more talent from challengers um, and even college COD and stuff like that. The talent is out there. It's you know these might not be the top 48 guys in the world. You know, there's only so many spots on a roster. It's hard to tell, who's going to perform from day to day. So,
Yeah.
I think that yeah, like Slack's going to get a pretty hard look after this. Florida they came out and they shocked the world with a huge win over Atlanta FaZe in the kickoff event, but that didn't matter. And we know that from last year, FaZe is notorious. Think of the tournament, the Toronto series right before COD Champs last year. FaZe is notorious for sandbagging when they know they don't have to try. They'll do all the experimental stuff. They'll play their bad maps. They'll do all this weird stuff just to see where they're at, just to limit test themselves. So maybe that's what they were doing against Florida. Maybe we just got a bad read on Florida. So hard to tell. I think you put Slack on thin ice. I don't think you pin all the losses on him and him alone, but you say, "Hey man, we're not competitive and we think you're the problem."
Yeah. It definitely could also be I think one of my biggest concerns when I saw them moving Havoc out and keeping Slacked in was personalities kind of meshing. Like,
True.
I feel Skies and Awakening, they view the game in a very similar light. Neptune, based on kind of the conversations surrounding him while he was in the Challenger series, seemed like he didn't care for all the BS and drama, and he was more focused on kind of team play and improving his game. Meanwhile, Slacked, Slack is not really that kind of player, at least in my eyes. I feel like he plays the quote unquote game, uh, not Call of Duty, but kind of the team, the moving players around rosters, getting on the Weasel game in a sense of what is Call of Duty, kind of the quote unquote friendship league. He kind of works that, and maybe doesn't view the game in kind of as similar of a light as the other three on the team, and so that's going to cause issues. And maybe that is the issue they're currently facing. So bringing in a younger player or bringing in a different, like anyone different, could definitely help alleviate maybe kind of the team synergy issues that they are having currently.
Right. I do
And that,
agree.
and this isn't to say anything negative about Slack, or kind of harp on him, because I don't think he was necessarily the problem with the team. I think it's just personality and mindset is
It might,
way too different from the other three players on the roster.
and if that's the case, then I mean he is the problem at that point because all these guys can shoot. We know they can shoot. We know they're all nasty at the game. Like that's not the problem. You know, the problem does come down to, are you a good teammate? Do you mesh well with your team? If you don't, then you're the problem.
Yeah, I don't
So
think I think it was poor wording. Like he is the problem for this team, but that doesn't mean he'd be a problem for a
yeah,
different team.
exactly. And I mean, see where it goes. I mean, if anything, right now, I think a lot of teams would run with their rosters, and he might just try to just stay within challengers or something like that. So there's a couple people we'll talk about that I'm like, maybe you should start thinking about challengers, buddy. You want to move on to the
Well,
next team?
yeah, Challengers is pretty much a death sentence at this point, though, since all the pros that have gone down there, outside of Saints, it's not looking too good for them. Like I haven't heard of anything about Aches, Lacefield, Mox,
I don't
GodRx,
I don't think that
Pander,
it has to do with
Proto.
these teams though. I mean, challengers is a mess, and it's just these all of these like wannabe pros or ex pros all coming together and building super teams. And they make a new one every week because they're bored or what have you. Um,
I think the most consistent rosters have been, well, the most consistent rosters are the ones that have found success, really. I
well,
mean, you
yeah,
look at the light, you look at Westar, they were winning for a long time. They've just recently have decided to make a roster change. With one of, I believe they're bringing in Phantoms, who is on that UT crew roster, been doing, who had been doing really good in the league. Subliners Academy, they're a top team in challengers. They haven't really made any roster changes, I think, outside of one of their guys going up into the pro
yeah,
league,
Diamond Con getting
Diamond
picked
Con, and
up,
then bringing in Glow Frosty. Um, Team
which
Z has started to do pretty darn good, and Built by Gamers has started to do relatively
yeah.
well as well. And I, yeah, like those rosters haven't really made any changes recently. So
Yeah,
yeah,
what I'm saying is that it some of the rosters don't make changes, but I mean, just look at Wester. It's only a matter of time. It
true.
really is at that level. And, with not that much money on the line and all you're trying to do is prove that you have a shot to, get paid to play, um, it's a little bleak. But I think that once expansion comes, it'll be a little bit better. It'll be a little bit more interesting again.
Yeah. I just hope I get my all Spanish team. Bring in the Rams.
That'd be
They
sweet.
actually won. They won the Rams actually won uh the Elite Challenger series, the first one. They got first in that, so
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That'd be sweet. Yeah, I
yeah,
mean
come
like
on, Lucky.
like heretics or anything like that. That would be awesome.
Heretics would be hype.
Um.
Yeah,
So
let's get
yeah,
back into
let's get, yes.
these matches.
Yeah, I was
All
about
right,
to say.
we're gonna discuss Chicago. Chicago, they played Toronto, they won that 3-1. They played LAG, they won that 3-1. And then in the latter half of Super Week, they played Florida, and they won that 3-1 as well. And we got all those right. We all said Chicago was going to win all their matches. That they did. Not too much to talk about there. They're looking pretty good in, I would say, the majority of their game modes. It's kind of interesting since they do drop like a hard point or something to LAG, which was weird. And then their S&D still could use a little bit of work.
Yeah.
And I'm a little concerned about their control, simply because I feel like they've been favoring, it's solid, but I feel like they've been favoring checkmate quite a lot, which is obviously excruciatingly defensive favored. Since I think there's only been one offensive round win or something like that on that map, so I hope that's not
Checkmate's
them
gotten a
trying to
little bit
hide a
better.
weakness.
Checkmate's got a little bit better.
Okay.
Raid's still like the most balanced one in my opinion.
Yeah.
Garrison is chalk.
Raid's really cool too because we saw a lot of teams win when they were down on lives, which I think is really a really healthy state for control. Like where
Right.
if you can kind of pull off those clutch moments. Like there was a bunch for Dallas this past weekend where they pulled off negative life wins, which
Yeah,
was really fun to see.
I think control is in a good spot. It's really interesting to see that, you know, aside from the maps, like literally all that needs to change is Garrison needs to be taken out of the rotation. Replace it with something. I don't know. Not checkmate.
I feel like
please.
Garrison and checkmate should.
No, checkmate be fine. I mean, like, I say this, but I mean, I'm gonna
I
start
saw a
complaining about
lot
checkmate if they would
more-
change Garrison. So
I saw a lot more defensive wins on checkmate than I did on
just-
Garrison.
can we get Seaside? Can we get Seaside in this map?
Seaside.
Seaside, yeah, from Black Ops 4. That was a great control map.
It was. It was a good control map. I mean, yeah, Seaside, Arsenal, maybe. I feel like Arsenal is probably more close to boots on the ground than Seaside was, simply because Seaside had that the cathedral area where like you could, it had that giant window, even though you could climb up there without using a grapple.
Yeah, you could climb up there.
I don't know. I feel like on Seaside, advanced movement was the small advanced movement features that they did have in BO4 kind of helped that map and control a bit. But yeah, it would be interesting to see kind of a bunch of these maps play out. But they are continuing to add new maps, and so like I feel like we could probably get maybe Express or something in the rotation as well. A bunch of good maps have been added, so we'll hopefully some of these like kind of worse or lesser tier maps will get moved out of the rotation, but that definitely won't happen until after the first major. But those were the Chicago matches. The Minnesota matches, they played Seattle. They won that 3-0. They played New York. They lost that 3-0. And they played London, and they won that 3-0. So they either, did I say it was a 3-1 or did I say it was 3-0? So they either won 3-0 or they lost 3-0 during the Super Week. So pretty drastic result differences there for the Minnesota Rocker. And I think the surprising one here was the New York loss. They lost that 3-0. I thought New York was going to lose to Minnesota in 3-2 fashion. You actually predicted this one correctly. You said New York was going to beat Minnesota in 3-2 fashion, even though you had New York losing to London 3-1 earlier in the week. So can you explain that prediction? Because this is the one. So I predicted the London New York one correctly with New York winning, but you got the Minnesota one correct with New York winning. So I want to hear your explanation here because I feel like mine's a lot more reasonable.
I thought Haggy was going to make more of a difference. Plain and simple. I thought that Parasite coming back, being this absolute beast, would make a difference. No. They need 0. Like, Trey's good. Get his visa issues figured out. Whatever you need to do, you gotta get that man back on the sticks. I'm not saying Hagi was the worst player on London this
No.
week. I think that Shawnee did not play well. Dylan was not there. Alex was terrible. Um, so like, if I was gonna cut one person, it'd probably be Alex. But I mean, I just I don't know. It's just it feels like an awkward position. I don't really like that Parasite's there, but at the same time, like, I mean, it is what it is. I think they're just trying to build clout. I don't know. I don't know if they're really interested in winning games at this point, which is how I felt about Paris. And then Paris comes off of like a ridiculous 3-0 against Florida. Um, that being said, subliners look really good. Are we talking about the subliners over?
We were talking about Minnesota.
Oh, we were talking about Minnesota.
Yeah, we were talking
okay.
about Minnesota. New York got brought into the mix
Because we talked
of,
about how London lost to. Like, that was my missed pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you wanted me to explain that. Yeah, so yes, so back to Minnesota versus subliners. I mean, if you wanted to be 100% real, where's that at? That was that was the one that I got right. Yeah, um so like, I thought the subliners were not going to do great against London with a new look Hagi and everything like that. I just misinterpreted the situation. But I mean, they're still a good team, and for some reason, I felt like, maybe the subliners have got it against Minnesota. Minnesota, I feel like I had them pretty high ranked, and then I wanted to like dial it back down. I think that they're pretty easy to figure out. Their search was definitely a lot worse this super week, but I mean, past that, Minnesota's still looking good.
Minnesota just looked like
they're still looking fine.
They're looking fine. I agree with the statement about they're easy to figure out, and that's something. Maybe that's going back to the coaching staff with Brian Saints. I think I've brought this up every time I've kind of talked about his teams, is that they get to a point of where you just kind of know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And in hard points especially, Minnesota just looks so scared to make any type of decision on the map. Like, if they didn't have the perfect scenario to kind of go in and break a point or make a rotation, they waited just an absurd amount of time to like kind of get numbers back up and stuff. And so that if they weren't breaking like a hill on their first go, they were losing an absurd amount of time on it. And it just, they were making like call outs, but no one was like moving to actually make the play. And maybe that's why we've seen Priesta just dying an absurd amount, is because he's like one of the only players actually willing to go in.
Okay, so
and take the engagement.
Can we talk about the actual problem right now? I know what it is. They do not know how to trade. Like, do you remember in the Moscow Surge Minnesota had against London? I believe it was the second round. It was unbelievable. Alex off the camera pulled an ace. We were like, what? How did the observers are really good. Like, shout out to like, J-Pros and all those guys over there. Like, they're really good. They're really good at catching all that action, but they missed that, and that's huge, right? So it goes to the best play. Obviously, it was the ace, and it happened so fast. You know what it was? It was the sloppiest pile of steaming hot dog shit I've ever seen from a professional team, where they literally just moved in front of Alex's gun as he was ADSing with an XM4 and literally shot them like 6 bullets, 6 bullets, 6 bullets, 6 bullets. It was literally, that was the ace. They just kept peeking the same lane. I'm like, what are you doing? All 4 of you. You didn't even call him out? What was going on? Like, everybody was like, oh, let's just 4-push Eskies. What? Yeah, it was dumb. Like, that's the problem with Minnesota. That is the exact problem. They literally did not even bother to even think about, oh, how would I trade this guy out? They just all went right down the middle. Oh, da, 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 da. they aren't as effective at trading, and it's gonna hurt them in the long run. This game is all about your trade, all about your trade. So
Yeah. So I think trading comes down to a couple things. It comes down to uh, positioning of your teammates. Obviously, they need to be relatively close to you.
right,
Being confident enough to like take that engagement, as well as kind of pacing. And I think that kind of goes back. My point kind of coincides with your point, and like they just aren't confident to take engagements. They're like too hesitant to go for these things, and so
yeah, I don't know what it
it's
is.
very weird.
Maybe they just had this like ego problem in the beginning. You know, people were talking really good, like really highly about them as of late from the first week in the kickoff, and people were like, "Oh wow, they look really good." Um, and then all of a sudden, you see that kind of pressure on you. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. I will say that I don't think of Minnesota as highly as I do now, but at the same time,
They're a
like
middle of the pack team.
they're a middle of the pack team.
I
They're
think that's where we always had them. I mean, we
well,
might have put them a little bit higher
right.
since they beat Dallas, but like even then, I feel like if we were to put them higher just because they beat Dallas uh, in a game 5, like
Yeah,
that's
true.
us. That's us just kind of like jumping on a
Yeah,
bandwagon
like a recency
effect.
bias or something like that.
Yeah,
That's true. So, I will say though that yeah, I mean, I have them in B tier. I still think they're probably like a B tier team. You know, I don't think that's anything crazy. Um,
yeah, I'd keep them at B tier.
I still think that my tiers are still really accurate. Um,
Yeah, I think outside of Paris, our
Paris
tiers
is
are
not a D tier
Paris and
team.
probably Florida. I don't know where you put Florida, but at least I don't remember. But yeah, outside of Paris and probably Florida, I
Yeah,
think
it,
our tiers are pretty accurate.
if I had to revisit, I'd I don't know. I'd probably put Paris in C tier, but I mean I wouldn't go too far. Like there's clearly like 9 teams playing for fourth, and then there are 3 teams that are playing first through third. I'm convinced of that at this point.
Yeah,
Um, after that is like the one thing that I will say out of this whole Super Week, I am convinced of now is that there are the men of the league and there are the boys of the league. And the men are Atlanta, Dallas, and Optic, and everybody else are the boys of the league. There are some teams that are getting their stuff together, like
you got some teams in there. You got
get
you got like
the
LA Thieves
subliners.
in New York.
The Thieves are good. I think those 2 teams have they're like teenagers. You know, they aren't boys. You know, they're starting to grow up. You know, they got pimples on their face or whatever. Um,
That's that's
but
not the image I want in my
but
head. But okay.
but like they are having to play against grown men in the league who can bully and do whatever they want. They can like I mean, say what you want about what happened yesterday. Well, as of this recording, or yesterday with Hastro and Nade Shot and all that crazy stuff that blew up. Um, but I mean, they are here to compete. Dallas is here to compete. They showed that very well.
Yeah, I was a bit worried about Dallas. I guess we can talk about this now since we
Yeah, you
mentioned
want to do
Dallas. I
the
was a bit worried
Dallas?
about Dallas. Dallas, they looked pretty shaky. I mean, we'll just jump into their match right
Yeah.
now. We'll skip over London real quick, but
Yeah, who cares?
they played London. They won that 3-2. That was a lot closer than any of us would have thought. They dropped both hard points, which is not what you want to see. And then in the latter half of the Super Week, they played New York Subliners. That went game 5. Almost lost that 3-0 if they hadn't had some very clutch moments in the control. I'm not going to say New York choked it because
Right.
like Dallas just made some incredibly good plays at the end to kind of pull out the win there.
Yeah, they were able
That's
to
not
bully the
on
win.
that's not on either team.
They
Uh,
bullied that win. That's
yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
And then they 3-0'd LA Thieves in probably what was a bit more surprising victory. Like that was the only match
They
during
bullied
the
the
Super
Thieves.
Week that they actually looked comfortable in. So
I tell
maybe
you
they were
what,
like figuring some stuff out, but I mean,
Ian
New York
Porter,
obviously wasn't a bad team, but that was just very kind of interesting results.
Ian Porter has it out for TJ Halley. I'm I'm just putting it out on there. Like it just seems like every time that TJ plays Crim Six, it's like father son mode engaged. Like you know,
He disowned him.
I mean he just straight spanks him every single time. And this is we're talking about like rare form TJ. Like let's not discount the fact that TJ played out of his mind during the Super Week. I mean, he had a 12-0 search and destroy. Literally played the perfect game. I've I've never seen it before. Never seen it. Don't know if I'll ever see it again. The kid played a perfect game of search and destroy, and Dallas just dogged on him. It was just bad.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like I said, say what you want about about the Thieves doing that, but Dallas is a bunch of grown men. And as far as I know, you said we skipped over London. As far as London goes, because we can do their matches unless you have something to say about Dallas.
Yeah, no, it was just that slight concern kind of going throughout the week leading up to that 100 Thieves match. I didn't want to get my prediction wrong, so I was just a little a little concerned there. So I had to
True.
collar a bit leading up to that one. But yeah, London, uh, after the Seattle Surge match, I felt pretty good about London. I felt really bad about Seattle Surge, even though Seattle Surge won that London matchup in the first week of stage one. And that was kind of the results of the first hard point where you literally have the you have Gunless going on some crazy streaks,
Yeah.
going pretty much double positive, and only winning the match by 20 points. So right then and there, I'm like, Subliners is a shit team. They're not going to win any matchups come like week 2 or week 3
Right.
in my mind. And so I felt pretty good about London after that. Um, However, even like with that positive feeling of London after the first week, I didn't think they were going to be able to beat any of the teams in their matchups come Super Week.
True.
And so, I mean, I was correct there in saying they would lose to Subliners. I didn't think it was going to be as dominant as it was. And so, this London roster definitely needs Zero back in here. They need something. They need to figure something out as a team because right now, it's just not working. They lost New York 3-0. That was in the first half of the Super Week, and then they go on to lose to the LA Thieves 3-1 and Minnesota 3-0. So, I mean, I don't know. There's not really much more to be said about this London Royal Ravens roster outside of they need to make a change or they need to really dig deep and reassess themselves as a team and what they need to do. Because right now, what they're doing, it's just not working. But that's kind of going to close out any comments I have to say about London. You got any other remarks?
Um, I will. Yeah, I mean, like I pretty much discussed it before with the whole Haggy situation and all that. Whenever I
Yeah.
mispicked them over the subliners, yeah, I think I had an overinflated sense of how good the London team is. That there's still a lot of question marks that go around it. Hoping for Trazier to get his visa back so that way they can look like a proper team. So.
Yep. All right. Moving on to, I think we'll talk about Atlanta. So Atlanta, they played Toronto. They won that 3-1. We both got that prediction right. And then Atlanta played Florida. They beat them 3-1. And they played Paris, and they narrowly won that one 3-2. So Atlanta's looking pretty good. Kind of touching on, I guess we won't touch on it yet. I was going to say some stuff about Toronto, but anything you got to say about Atlanta? I mean, they're looking really solid right now.
I mean, they didn't drop a match, correct?
Nope. Yep.
Yeah.
They went 5-0. They were the only team to go 5-0.
Yeah, I mean, beast mode, honestly. Team looks team looks disgusting. I can't believe that we even we even began to doubt them. So
Yeah, that's something I said I was going to work on. I was going to work on recency bias, since I know after the season kickoff, I suffered a bit from it. Um, so gonna work on that throughout the season. I think after week 1, moving on to like the week 2 and week 3 combined matches, I think did a pretty good job, seeing as how both of us got 80% on the weeks.
true.
Um, Going into, I guess, the next team on here, talk about the LA Thieves. So they played Seattle. They won that 3-2, a lot closer of a matchup than I think any of us would have thought. And then well, actually, I think you said LA Thieves was going to win that 3-2 against Seattle. So, no, you thought it was going to go the distance.
You're
They beat London 3-1, and then they lost to Dallas 3-0, and that closed out the LA Thieves, I believe, at second in their group, having only the one loss to Dallas. And I have something written here. Austin Litigoat, aka Slasher,
Yep.
might be the only pro that doesn't watch anime. So
Yeah.
could you just imagine how good this LA Thieves roster would be if they had the power of anime and weebs on their side? It's scary to think about.
Yeah. Honestly, if Slasher would just start watching anime, this could be an S tier team. That's that's all they need.
I saw that. I was like,
Yo, people were asking the drop temp after the Dallas game. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, they're playing as Dallas. It's a good team. You know, like you get 3-0 by a team like that, it just shows you got some work to do. That's really all it does. You know, get your ass back to work. They'll get there. You know, I think we discussed it. Them and New York are the teams that can potentially vie their way in for a spot. But I mean, like other than that, the Thieves look fine. Like I said, TJ, shout out to him. I talked about his 12-0 search. It was truly impressive, and I'm definitely willing to touch on it again. And I don't know if that will literally ever happen again in COD. Like 12-0, like I think his score line was something insanity just because of how score streaks or like how kill streaks work in this game, um, or how like the score stacks, the multiplier. But I mean, it was absurd. I don't know if we'll ever see another game like that from anybody. So, the team's nasty right now. They look really really good. Um, but
yeah,
I mean, are they good enough to be in contention with Optic and Dallas and Atlanta? No,
not yet.
no, not yet.
Not yet.
So like I said, Slasher just needs to watch some anime. Watch some One Punch Man. So
One punch.
One Punch. All right.
All right, moving on. So, I guess the first matchup that we saw from the LA Thieves was against Seattle. Seattle sucks, and Pristini had, I think we can say, officially has failed at his role as a Slayer in this team.
Yeah,
He
Pristine
wanted
sucks.
to come into this roster and be that aggressive slaying sub, and it has not worked out at all.
Yeah, he just doesn't have it. I'm just not gonna lie. Like, sorry, bud. I mean, I don't want to hurt your feelings or anything, but you just don't got it. I think Seattle's best option right now is to just go look at challengers. See if you can find somebody who's got thumbs. Really, all it is.
Yeah.
And
And I know Looney is an intelligent player. However,
I don't know. He looked pretty stupid yesterday, or not this last week. I like the stuff that happened. I mean, like the nade that he threw, like literally
that
on
was
top of
really
his teammates,
bad.
like
Killed him and
killed
his
himself.
two teammates.
And people were like, "Oh
Oh
well, he was
man.
just trying to throw a trophy and he didn't hit R1." I was like, "That cost him the game,
How do
dude."
you wait? Those are literally on different bumpers. How the heck do you
No, they
mix
said that
those up?
they said that he pressed L1 and he didn't press L1 and R1 at the same time.
Uh, okay. I don't. Okay. Suspect to say the least. That's sus. But the point I was going to bring up is, even if you have an intelligent player like Looney, there's still intelligent players in the league that can shoot better than Looney. So
True.
that's kind of the point to bring up. That's why JCap's not in the league anymore.
True.
Which, speaking of JCap, yeah, as soon as he retired, he decided to become really active on Twitter, and I might follow in Crimsix's steps of blocking him because I don't follow him on Twitter, but for some reason I still see his tweets on my timeline, and every time I see it, he's saying something incredibly stupid. So, yeah,
Dang.
Crimsix, very intelligent play there in blocking JCap. I am soon going to follow you in those footsteps. But yeah, just bring that that point up there. I think there's not really much to talk about Seattle. They're bad. Sorry, Nubsy. But I think we'll talk about Toronto next. So they lost to Atlanta. They lost that 3-1. They lost to Chicago. They lost that 3-1. Those are to be expected, I think. The one upset, or I guess two upsets, potentially. Well, actually, yeah, both of these were upsets because these were the only two games we got wrong in the latter half of Super Week. Was Toronto losing to Paris and Toronto losing to LAG, both in Game 5. And this is just an incredible case of Toronto playing to the level of their competition but losing, which is the exact opposite of kind of what we experienced with Dallas during this Super Week. Was they played to the level of their competition in the London series, and maybe you could also say the New York series, and then they brought it up when they played the LA Thieves. However, they won all those matches. On Toronto's half, they played, I guess, relatively well in the Atlanta series. They got destroyed by Chicago in the hard point. Like, that was abysmal. It was 220-7 or something like that. And then they played actually to the level of their competition in Paris and LAG, but lost. So not sure what's going on in the Toronto camp right now.
I'll tell you what's going on in the Toronto camp. It's early, and this is a late season team. You know, they're gonna learn the game. They're gonna, lag behind a little bit. I don't think they look bad. I wouldn't make any changes to the Toronto team, to be
No, I
honest.
wouldn't make any changes to the roster. Yeah.
I think that they're traditionally a late bloomer. So I don't think they're a bad team even. I mean, like, their team's good. They've got a good
I mean, they
four.
went to Game 5 in both of their losses, which is what you would like to see in a loss that you do have.
Yeah, and it just comes down to, like, clutch factors at that point. And I mean, like, sometimes you just don't got it. So I mean, they look fine. I don't want to put them in the rare air with the subliners um and the Thieves, because
They're definitely not up there.
I don't think that they bring that to the table yet. But I mean, they don't
No.
look bad.
Nope. I just wish they had looked a little bit better. Than me and you, maybe we could have had a perfect week 3 predictions, But
Right.
unfortunately, they did not. They dropped to LAG and they dropped to Paris. And I think these are kind of like the last two teams that we really need to talk about. In LAG, Vivid might be the best player on LAG. I know at the start of the season I said they were going to sub him out pretty early on to bring in Mentals, but I might be eating my words at that remark. Vivid is potentially the best player on LAG right now. Disagree or agree?
Vivid?
I mean, Apathy's the best when he goes donk mode, but that doesn't happen every single game.
Apathy is proving very quickly that he should retire. I hate to say it. I love Daddy App, but he's looking like he should go the way of old Damon Barlow. Yes, I had my shot. Well, take it easy, raise my kid, that kind of deal. I understand. I mean, happens. We grow up. Not saying anything bad about him. Great dude. It's not there. LAG has yet again picked another old pro that doesn't really need to be playing in the league, and tried to run with them.
They got
So
3 old pros on that team,
yeah, silly,
the majority of which probably shouldn't be playing in the league.
silly definitely is not great. Vivid's fine. Assault, I don't know. He's on thin ice. They should
I think
honestly.
that the thing is here to consider though is like they're a bottom of the league team. Well, actually, they're not even bottom of the league.
Surprisingly,
LAG,
no.
they're third.
Third from the
They
bottom,
got
yeah.
third in their pool.
The pool's really that messed up.
They got third, yeah. Florida got last place in their pool.
Oh, okay.
Toronto got fourth. Or wait, there's 6 teams in their pool. Who else is in their pool? What am I getting wrong here? So
I think
Florida, they did get last. Toronto, yeah.
they got to be fourth.
Wait, what? I'm so confused. They are no. They beat out Paris. They're starting in winners for the major. They got third in their group. Paris got fourth. Toronto got fifth, and I believe Florida got sixth.
Nah, it's right here. Paris got third. So,
Paris is starting in losers.
I'm telling you exactly what I'm looking at right now on the website.
Well, the website's wrong then because Gorillas are starting in the winners bracket on the pick'em. So unless something's wrong, either the website's wrong or the pick'ems are wrong.
Let's look at the website pick'ems.
I'm at the website pick'ems.
Yeah,
Maybe
no, you're right. LAG is in winners round 1. That shouldn't be right. Oh, wait, why? They shouldn't be. Oh, I mean, they're both 2 and 3. Like, they're both not good teams. Like, I mean,
we both would think that Toronto or Florida would
what?
be there in that third
LAG
spot.
beat Paris. That's the reason why they should be in winners, because they beat Paris.
Yep, they beat
So in
Paris
the
and they beat
head-to-head, they should,
Toronto.
like, record-wise, in the head-to-head, like, they should be ahead because they won. Like, that's just them's the rules. And I mean, yeah, you beat Toronto. That series was crazy though. That series was absolutely nuts. I remember watching that and I was like, this should have not been a good game. That was a great game.
But there they are. So maybe they shouldn't be out of the. Well, going back to the point, though, like we said, a bunch of their players are kind of getting up there to the point in their career where they probably could or should retire. Even if they were to bring in outside talent, how would that outside talent compare, and would it actually like help the team?
I think
And make them better, because no matter how you look at it, there's always going to be a worse team in the league. And so the thing to always look at is that worst team in the league worse? Would it be worse or would it be better if you were to make changes and bring in outside talent from the challenger scene?
yeah, but I mean, like, are we talking about like mediocrity? Or are we talking about like hey, we wanna start winning championships. We want to start winning majors. Like LAG feels like they're doing.
Yeah, but are you going to be able to do that by just bringing in Zapdius or bringing in Gravity? Like, is that going to be the change that's going to get you a championship? No. None of that. Like, you can take the Western lineup, but they're not going to win a championship.
True. I don't disagree with that. I mean, what I know is that it's just there's something off, and it just seems like they're a mediocre team, and it doesn't feel like they want to improve from anything but mediocre. I like I don't.
I think they want to improve. I just
Maybe it'll come in due time.
there's
Maybe
not
they're just
much,
they're letting
like,
other teams have their fun or whatever.
yeah. I feel like you kind of know what you're going to get out of the Gorillas lineup. I feel like they're going to be kind of very straight and forward throughout the entire season. Like, there's not going to be crazy highs. They're not going to be crazy lows. You
I
just kind of know where they're going to be.
I think they're gonna
Um,
keep this four. This four will compete all season. I'm
yeah,
convinced, but I think it's only because like they only got rid of Ace because Ace was actually terrible. Like he was actually throwing. Like remember whenever he got him to forfeit in a land? They had a map forfeit
I
because he was running something
yes,
stupid or something like that. Like
I think
how do you do that, man?
I thought it was Lacefield that had something that he wasn't supposed to.
Was it Lace?
I
Anyway,
think it was
like
Lace.
still, like
But yeah,
it's just insanity. Like it's obviously they don't care. It just blows my mind. Bring back Lacefield. I don't know. Do something.
I don't really think there's anything they could do to kind of save that lineup.
The LAG Academy
I
boys
think
don't
what
look bad.
they don't look that great either, though. I mean, they're
Nah,
not doing
they're not
amazing in
special.
challengers. So I think the lineup they have right now is kind of what we're gonna have with them. And I mean, I don't mind any of the players on the team outside of maybe Assault, probably actually Assault. But the other three are fine in my eyes, even if they're not kind of the best players in the league. But
Right.
I mean, you're always going to have players that are the bottom of the league. That's just a matter of fact. But that's kind of all the talking points for the Gorillas. There wasn't really much there to talk about. Paris, there's not much that I wanted to bring up outside of I saw Scraps tweet something really stupid on Twitter, and I wanted to bring it up
They all
because
tweet
this
stupid stuff on
baffled
Twitter.
me. This baffled me that they thought this would be okay. So all the pros, they have league PCs. I'm assuming these are PCs that the league sent them to play their matches on.
Right.
Scraps downloaded fucking GTA onto his league official PC. Why would you think the league and the league told him to delete it off of that PC, and he was baffled that they would tell him to do that? What? Bro, this is your work PC
Yeah.
given to you by the league that you compete under. It is not yours to do whatever personal things you want on it. If I gave you a work laptop and you go and install fucking League of Legends on it, you're gonna get fired.
Yeah.
Like this, this is not allowed. Are you fucking kidding me, bro? Like, and the fact that some people on the like timeline defended, like, are you fucking kidding me, bro?
No, like
The
this.
league sent you this goddamn PC and you're gonna install a different game on it and then be upset when they tell you to delete it.
Right. Massive L.
Holy
Unbelievable.
shit, bro. Like that actually pissed me off. I could not believe that. I could actually not believe that. Holy cow. But yeah, Paris doing doing pretty well, even though they're in the losers bracket.
Paris, they aren't really doing that well, but we didn't expect them to do that well. They're doing better than what
They're
I
doing
thought.
better than expected. So that I think that's
I
probably a better way of
Yes,
putting it.
yeah, we can call it that, but I mean, oh me, oh my, like they're just every day that goes by, I get reminded that this was the last team that got put together.
Yeah.
The last
Honestly,
team.
if I was Paris, I would make in 100% French roster. I don't care if they're dog shit. I would make 100% French roster and work on selling to my target market, which is the Paris fan base. That's the whole fucking reason there is a Paris team in the league is because of the quote unquote crazy French fans.
Yeah, they
But why would they support the Paris team if there's really not a single French like play to that fan base? I don't know why they don't do that. It doesn't matter if the team's bad. The fans can still have something to cheer for if it's something that represents them. Like
yeah.
you're not representing anyone outside of just a bad North American squad.
Yeah, I mean
Uh,
like think of like how diehard they are of like their soccer teams and all that over there, or football teams. We're gonna be
Yeah, it
proper and
baffles
European about it.
me.
Like they don't
Like
care. It's
they're
their
not playing to their
team.
market at all.
It's their team. Like the sense of nationalism over in Europe is massive. So like,
Be
you,
the hoodie. Be the hoodie org. Paris, be
yeah,
the hoodie org.
yeah,
They could
you
even
have
do some
to.
really I feel like they could even do some really cool stuff like get some French casters to broadcast the games during whenever Paris is actually awake because the time zone difference is absurd for them, I imagine. Matches are
Yeah,
probably
get
happening at like 3 a.m. for them. Like no one's watching that
yeah, get the raw VOD and recast the games.
in
So
French.
yeah, in French with French casters. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. But like, they aren't gonna do that because that costs money, and the team was about to go under anyway. Like, was literally like, I mean, they almost didn't put a team in. The league basically told them like, "Hey, you gotta have a team," and
Yeah.
then they were like, "Fine,
Well,
whatever."
yeah. But that's what I would do if I was Paris at the start of kind of the season and everything. One thing I do want to bring up uh, was control. I noticed this especially on Garrison. To me, it doesn't make sense, and I want you to tell me why pros are doing it or if they're actually just being stupid. Um, so I've seen so many times where players are on attack and they get two down. They get two down and they don't push the hill immediately. They they send like one guy to the hill who doesn't even like sit on the hill, while the other three like push up and try and just like spawn trap the enemy team or something, or like move up into their spawns to try and get like some map control instead of just all flooding the hill and literally forcing the two remaining players to either try and get you off of the hill or wait a couple of seconds for their teammates to come off of respawn, and by then the hill's probably pretty much all gone because you got four fucking people on the hill. And I've seen it on like the map states where the two players that didn't die are literally nowhere near the hill. They're all posted up like pretty much near their spawn point, and it just baffles me. It's like, you got two down. All four of you just flood the fucking hill. These guys are in goddamn Narnia over here, nowhere near. Force them to come to you instead of seeking them out.
Yeah,
Like they
if you
have to
can,
go for you.
if you like, the good teams do that. If you can, but the problem is that you have to worry about the pinch then. If you can get one tick, or if you can stack hill, you can get two ticks, no problem.
I mean,
But I
how
mean,
many guys do you need to watch the pinch? You just need like probably one guy to watch the pinch, have three on the hill.
right? But the problem is that like you've one guy watching the pinch, he gets traded out, like he's likely to get blooded. Um, so you go down to a 3v4. The pinch isn't gonna peak quite yet because they're gonna wait for the other two guys to play for a pick, and then you know, depending on what happens there, like
I
you might
just feel like they
have two
waste
guns.
so much time. I would much rather have I would much rather have I would much rather force the enemy team to come at me instead of seeking the enemy team out.
Yeah, in attack, sometimes I don't know. I think the most successful attack routes are like, hey, let's uh let's play weird on them. Let's just get a
I mean,
tick real quick.
I feel like that's the winning strategy on raid on
Yeah,
the
go to
B
B.
control spot.
Yeah, go to B. Like,
Literally, if you get two, three guys on the point, more often than not, the team that's trying to push you, like they just straight up kind of lose that every single time. That's
yeah, you put one guy in like the little creddy spot. You have him watch basketball, like, or watch the exit to basketball, and then you have the other guy in the other equally creddy spot on the opposite wall of basketball to watch money. Like,
yeah.
and you're pretty well set up, and that's usually what happens on raid. Is you'll send like three onto A, and you'll have one guy watching like Zig or something like that for the flank. Hopefully he catches the guy. Sometimes he doesn't. Um, and um, if you go, 3 down or 2 down or whatever on A, like sometimes you can get a trade or something like that. It's nice whenever you can have some guy still on the hill on A just to be annoying, but everybody else that spawns just go B. Like what? Like who cares? Especially if you have somebody on the hill. Like especially if you have somebody still on A. Like go B. Like they have to kill the guy off A or he just caps A. Sure, like there's probably already at least one tick done by the time all the trades have happened, just because of how quick it is to get to A and clear it out. He has at least one tick done. Um, so you have to send some guy over there to be like, all right, cool, let me go kill him real quick. And if he fails, then they're in trouble. But if he doesn't fail, you can probably get like one tick on B, just based on flooding it. And flooding is definitely the wave, but at the same time, like if they catch you with your pants down, like that's just 3 dead, and that there's not really a whole lot you can do. And sometimes that 3 dead is just enough for life advantage, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was just it was a scenario that I saw it at least 3 times in garrison control. It was very obvious on garrison control. And it was just something I'm like, why don't you guys just all go B? You already got A. The 2 guys, they're back spawn pretty much. 2 of them are dead. Just go B. Why are you pushing up the left side? You don't need it.
No, a lot of times whenever you have one cap down, you try to play the time and play for lives, because like with one hill.
Wait, why are you playing for time and lives? If you're on, you run out of time every single.
Nah.
Like the pros always run out of time. I feel when they're attacking, it like you're on the clock if you're attacking. The enemy team isn't on the clock. They don't give a fuck about life advantage at that point. They just need to stop you from capping.
Nah, you do care about life advantage. That's actually really big.
If the enemy team isn't going for the hill, if they're not going to cap the point and they're just playing for kills, that's the stupidest thing you could do in my eyes, because all the other team has to do is camp up in the back of their spawn, wait for you to push them, and you just keep dying.
Yeah, and
like
that's generally what
in their
happens.
spawn.
But that's why you have 2 guys like to push out the back left, so that way they can put that spawn pressure on him. You try to get him in a spawn trap, and you try to figure out, okay, well, like how do we get the life advantage to be a little bit back in our favor? That's all they're really trying to do. If you're down lives after A or after capping a point, what you want to be doing is you want to be resetting the life advantage, so that way you can efficiently trade out.
What's better, to lose offense but have life advantage, or to win offense? In my eyes, it's always to win offense.
Yeah, but you're not always going to win offense. You know, if you don't win the gun battles, you don't get your trades and everything like that. At least you played lives.
They're not even like trying to win offense.
On Garrison, yeah, no, they don't do that, because Garrison's broken.
That's ridiculous to me.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
There's no reason to push in Garrison. Why? Like you're just giving away lives. You can't win.
2 are dead, 2 are alive. You got 4. Just go to the hill. Even if they're at the hill, you should. It's a 4v2. You should win. Then you got at least 2 guys on hill if you're trading appropriately, while the other 2 still have to run. Take 10 seconds to run over there off of spawn. Like, and then if it's so defensive favored, you should have faith in your squad to be able to defend. And then you're up 2-0. Like you. I don't know.
I think if they put that platform as far as B, they made that platform part of B like right outside green, I think that it would be a fair hill. I wouldn't be as mad at it. But right now it just doesn't feel right.
One change I saw on Twitter, I don't remember if I talked about this, but one change I saw that someone had brought up that would be really nice was, instead of doing life advantage determines defense in round 5, if they did number of ticks earned during offensive rounds. And I think that would be a fabulous change, because it would make teams actually have to fucking play offense.
It would make things
is
a little
what
bit
everyone wants. It would make it vastly more interesting, since you wouldn't have teams just posting up trying to play for defense when they could clearly get an offensive win in my eyes. But that's that's my discussion. Crossroads, new P4, going to be really interesting to see that. I
Yeah, that
don't know if
that's
it's
gonna be huge.
happening. I don't think it's happening for this major. It might, but I'm not sure if that patch is going into effect since they can control the patches on the PCs that they gave the players, as well as some slight changes to the maps. They finally got a weed whacker on Cartel. They shortened up Moscow's back spawns a bit. They could probably do it even more if they wanted to. But I think if they did that, they would have to move the hard points around a bit. So they probably won't. So that'll be interesting to see how that affects the gameplay. But this podcast has been getting pretty long, so I think we should dive into our predictions and do them rapid fire.
Yeah, rapid fire predictions. Let's go.
Ready? All right. Wednesday, March 3rd, Seattle, Florida Mutineers. Who you got?
Mutineers 3-1.
3-1 Mutineers. All right. I'm going to say 3-2 Mutineers. I have a little less faith in the Mutineers. I feel like Seattle could potentially pull out an upset here if the Mutineers are still playing flat as hell. But yeah, next matchup. Toronto versus London Royal Ravens. Who you got?
Toronto.
I
We'll
agree.
probably do like a 3-2 there. That's gonna
Yep,
be a good game.
I agree. 3-2. Moving on to Thursday, we have first matchup. Time has not been decided, so we'll just say the first matchup is Optic versus Subliners. This one's an easy one for me. I'm saying 3-1 Optic.
I'm gonna say 3-0 Optic.
Ooh, damn. Optic coming out with the sauce and handing it to the Subliners.
Men against boys. Men against
The
boys.
battle of the pizzas.
The battle of the pizzas. Actually, get out of here. Let's go to the battle of LA.
Battle of LA. We got Thieves versus Gorillas. I'm saying 3-1. Could probably be a 3-0 for the Thieves.
3-0. Gorilla's hot dog. Thieves are gonna be mad.
All right. Battle of the Pizza is way better than the Battle of LA.
I will say that the Battle of the Pizza will be a more interesting game than the Battle of LA.
Dude, they need to make that the storyline for Chicago versus New York. Just saying, since storylines is what the CDL likes to push. But other Thursday matchups, we have the Paris Legion versus the Florida Mutineers. This has got probably a tough one. This is probably the toughest prediction because actually these next two are. But yeah, who do you got for this?
Paris, Florida. Well, this actually is tough. Let's do 3-2 Florida.
3-2 Florida.
Yeah, Florida's got it. Florida's got it. They're good. They got this. We'll ignore that
Wanna-
3-0.
Do I want to get spicy?
Go for it. I mean, you already did whenever you said what Surge was gonna beat the Mutineers? Because you say the
I
Surge.
said they could. I said the
Okay.
Surge could.
Yeah, that was already too spicy. Yeah. Need to dial it down. Dial
what
it
if,
down.
What if I get super spicy here and say Surge beat Florida?
Do it. You won't. Surge beat Florida, and then what? Surge beat Paris? That would be spicy. That's not gonna happen though.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's so sad because you're a Surge fan. Like that's the worst. That's the worst part.
I'm gonna give it to Paris 3-2 over Florida though.
Paris 3-2 over Florida. Okay, yeah. I think that's fair. All right.
Yeah,
So down to the rocker.
it was just like 1 week of matches for Florida, and so they could have just had a really bad week.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
It
could be something else. Who knows? We'll see.
Could be something else. Gotta throw a little differentiation in here. Minnesota versus Ultra. You got.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Ultra 3-0 or 3-1.
3-1.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna say Minnesota 3-2. I think I'm gonna don't want to rescind my. No, I'm gonna keep Paris over Buccaneers. All right, so we got a couple differences here in our losers round 2 matchups. Moving on to Friday, we got Dallas versus Optic. Ooh boy, I'm gonna go Optic 3-2.
Dallas 3-2.
Dallas 3-2. Okay, respectable. This one, yeah, this is probably gonna be the highlight of my Friday at the very least, outside of it being a Friday. Oh wait, I don't have work this Friday. This is a good Friday.
Yeah, I was
All
gonna
right,
say
it's an off Friday for me.
that's
So
fair. So Thieves and
Atlanta,
Faze.
yeah, Atlanta FaZe versus the LA Thieves.
That's gonna be
I'm
an
saying
interesting
that's
one.
a 3-1 for FaZe.
Yeah, I'll say 3-1 for Faze. I'll give the LA boys a little bit more credit. You know what? 3-2. I'm gonna say that this one goes a distance. This is gonna be a great search and destroy. It's gonna be an absolute banger to watch. I'm very
So
excited
gonna
for it.
be the versus the likes of TJ.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see.
All
We'll see.
right. Our other Friday matches, we got New York versus Paris. I'm taking New York 3-1 over the Paris Legion. Well, you're gonna have New York versus Florida though.
I'm gonna say New York takes it 3-0.
Over Florida.
Yeah. I mean, they would do it over either team. Like New York's
Yeah.
good, so and I think both of those teams are not good, so they're still figuring themselves out.
All right. Next matchup, it's going to be Gorillas
Joke.
versus the Rocker for me.
The Ultra for
For
me.
you, it's going to be Gorillas versus the Ultra.
I'm gonna give it to. Well, this is interesting because I mean the Gorillas did just beat the Ultra 3-2. I'm gonna give it to Toronto 3-1.
I'm
So
going to give it to Minnesota 3-1 as well.
yeah, makes sense.
Moving on to our Saturday matches, we have the LA Thieves versus the New York Subliners.
It's gonna be a
I'm
good game.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one since the last time they faced off, it was the least convincing 3-0 I think I've ever seen. So I'm going to say this is going game 5, and I'm going to end up giving it to the LA Thieves 3-2.
Honestly, I'm still thinking about this because this is actually tough. The Thieves are good, Subliner's good.
Yeah, it is a tough one.
This is a tough one. Man, this is make or break too. Gosh, let's do Subliners 3-2.
Over the Thieves, I can respect it. It's definitely a respectable pick. Dallas Empire versus the Minnesota Rocker. I'm going to say Dallas takes this 3-1 over the Rocker.
Yeah, I'm gonna say they come in. No, 3-2, 3-2 actually. I think
3-2 Rocker.
no against the
Oh,
Ultra.
yeah, you got Toronto, my bad.
Yeah, I think that Ultra always tend to give Anthony Zinni always gives the boys a run for their money. So I think this is interesting.
Okay. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see out of Toronto after what was a pretty bad showing during the Super Week. Our last Saturday matchup, it's going to be the Thieves versus the Dallas Empire. I'm going to go Dallas 3-2 over Thieves.
Um,
Or I'm going to say 3-1 over Thieves.
Mine would be Dallas and the Subliners.
Yep, yours would be Dallas Subliners.
So I'd say that. Is this the time? Does Clayster's fire burn so bright against Dallas? I'm gonna say Subliners take this 3-2 over Dallas.
Damn.
Yeah,
Okay, New York.
I'm
New
high on New York in
York.
this major.
They fucking skipped puberty, went straight to adulthood
Yep, we got PP
during
slap
this
Dallas.
major. All right. Well, our first Sunday matchup, we got Chicago versus the Atlanta FaZe.
Banger.
Yeah, there are some good matchups.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I'm going 3-2
It's
Optic.
like the first 2 matches. Actually, there's only like I think 3 matches during this entire tournament that are kind of just like
Yeah,
Snores.
like all right,
It's the
let's.
Thieves LAG one.
Yeah,
And then maybe a couple of the other first matches and losers bracket,
yeah,
but
but
like at least on paper,
some
like these all look like really good matchups.
sometimes I mean you never know. Like I said, that Toronto Ultra LA Gorillas game, that was actually a really solid game to watch. It was a lot of fun to watch. And I mean sometimes it happens like that. So but for Optic Phase, I mean they never fail to disappoint. I'm gonna give it to Optic 3-2 over Phase.
Optic 3-2 over phase.
Yeah, that's gonna be a banger.
I will agree with you. I'm gonna say Optic 3-2 over phase as well. Moving on to our losers final. It's the Atlanta Phase versus Dallas Empire. I'm going to give this to the Atlanta Phase 3-2 over Dallas Empire.
Let's say Optic wins the first major. Because I have them against the subliners. I think Optic wins the first major, 3-1. So that was fun.
Okay, wait. You're taking Atlanta over New York.
Oh, that's
in
right.
losers
They
finals?
play. That's right. Because subliners beat Dallas in my predictions, and then they had to play Atlanta. That's right, because Atlanta hasn't lost twice yet. No, I would take Atlanta over Optic, and yeah, I would say again 3-2 Optic. So for the
Atlanta
grand,
over New York. You mean?
yeah, Atlanta over New York. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, Atlanta
Okay.
over New York first, and then we get to the grand finals, right?
Yeah.
And this
Yeah.
one is for
Oh, the
you.
finals is a best of 9, by the way.
What?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
pog, let's
not.
go.
There's no bracket reset. It's a best of 9. So does that change anything for you? Who's got
Yeah,
the deeper
actually,
map pool? Do you think?
that does change a lot. FaZe definitely has the deeper map pool.
Because what? So they're playing 2 controls, 4 S&Ds, and 3 hard points. Right? That adds up to 9. 4
Yeah,
S&Ds, 3 hard points.
2
Yeah,
controls.
I gotta give it to FaZe then, right? You're
Yeah,
thinking
you have to.
S&D? In the end,
In
yeah.
S&D alone, they win for sure.
Yeah, so Atlanta FaZe, I'm gonna say 5-3. 5-3 FaZe.
5-3 FaZe. I'd be willing to go 5-4 FaZe.
Yeah, 5-3, 5-4, something along those lines sounds probably
Yeah,
pretty accurate.
they're. I mean, both these teams are good, but
Yeah, I
I
mean,
really do
it's
think.
impossible for Optic to take an S&D off of FaZe. Like, they've definitely been improved in it since they played them last time.
And if
There
they're
was a
gonna
huge
play one of
gap.
their favorable maps, they are.
Yeah, they're gonna play one of their favorable maps too. I mean, only one S&D is not getting played. Only one control is not getting played. 2 hard points aren't getting played, which is definitely probably Optic's favored game. That's definitely the game that they've looked the best in. Actually, Optic's probably looked the best in control, to be honest.
Control
At
or
least
hardpoint, they look
their
good in the
record.
respawns just in general. They look they
Yeah,
look
they're
they look
always
top
a good
tier in
respawn
respawns.
team.
Yeah, I mean that's just the power of Scump.
Yeah.
Um, maybe every now and then like he gets real cerebral on search and destroy, but for the most part, just do really well in your respawns and you'll be okay. Win your ones.
All
You'll be
right.
okay.
So for the first major of the 2021 Call of Duty League season, both you and me predict Atlanta FaZe
Phase
coming
up.
out on top of Optic
Phase up.
5-4, 5-3, something along those
You can do it
lines in
too.
the finals. The journeys there were different. Our predictions were wild, but we'll see who comes out on top this week in the percentage. Hopefully I do. I can't take any more L's, but
Yeah, I was about to say it's down bad central over there.
hey, at least we went even. But I would like to, take the advantage, or at least have 1 week where where I win in the predictions. But that's gonna be it from us. The first day of matches is actually going to be today when this podcast does come out. That being Wednesday. But that's going to be it from us. Hope you guys will tune in, enjoy those matches, and we'll see you next time.
Go follow College COD
Go follow College COD
on Twitter right now. You won't.
on Twitter.
Like and
Link in the
subscribe,
description.
bitch.
Don't have to like or subscribe, but I would also recommend following their Twitch channel, which did get up to 20K during two Monday's matches. But yeah.
Big moves. All right, I'm out. But yeah, so I'm getting close. I'm getting really close. I'm gonna be decorating a little bit behind me, and then probably getting a little bit nicer of a webcam, and then I'll be pretty solid. So
Yeah, I'm not ready for webcam yet. At
hey,
least not now. I'm in man bun mode.
man bun mode, no
My
shot,
hair
Nick.
has gotten that long
No.
that I can wear it in a man bun, yeah.
Oh my
It's
god.
actually better to wear it in a man bun because it can get annoying sometimes.
Damn man bun, Nick. Now you got to get the beard and everything. You could probably pull off the beard and man
I
bun. I'll
mean,
gas you up.
I have a, it's not like a beard, but it's like a respectable amount of facial hair. It's like the like 1 millimeter beard or whatever the heck you want to call it.
The 1 millimeter beard. Oh, like I mean that's actually like you can like maintain it and everything. It's really nice. You just gotta like shape it up and everything. Get you a nice pair
Yeah.
of clippers. So
Yeah, but I haven't gotten a haircut since COVID started. So yeah,
wow.
been a while.
Oh, speaking of, are we are we gonna talk at all about what happened yesterday?
I mean, I already have something on like the list of things that I'm gonna bring up when we like talk about certain teams and stuff. And at the bottom of the list, it was I put this on here even before the Twitter drama was, but it was I don't follow JCap. And it's because since he's now fucking retired and a nobody, he just tweets so much stupid shit. I can see why like Krim blocked him. I'm probably gonna say that exact same thing. But yeah, gosh, he's so fucking annoying on Twitter.